Allow me to
Sure, sir. Sure.
share my screen. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I made you as a presenter.
But now I think. Yes. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share our experiences with the community-led extension system. How these SHG members forming the farm livelihoods. This is a very interesting story, as you might have heard about SHGs and their success. My presentation will be in two parts. One, I will be covering about our National Rural Livelihoods Mission, because with that background, you will appreciate how SHG members, leading the transformation. So I will second part I will be covered on the community resource persons.
Sir,
With
can you keep
this,
slide, sir?
it is in slideshow only.
It's not visible.
Now.
Slides are visible, but it is not in slideshow. It's okay, sir. No problem. You can. Slides are still visible. You can carry on.
So if you look at the SHG movement, I think most of you are aware, SHG is a small group of women, 10 to 12 SHG women of the rural areas and or even urban areas joining together, and starting with the savings, they will take credit, and they will also invest that credit in their livelihoods and many other activities. So in India, we started with the IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program, in 1980, and then Dwakra. Dwakra is it is a famous program, development of women and child in rural areas, 1982, and then SAPAP, South Asian Poverty Elevation Program, 1995 to 2000. And this is a very important program because most of the current program is designed based on the experiences of South Asian Poverty Elevation Program. We implemented it from 1995 to 2000 in many states, and particularly in Andhra Pradesh, Kurnool district. We implemented this, Kurnool, Anantapur, and from those learnings, actually NRLM was emerged. In fact, Andhra Pradesh Rural Poverty Reduction Program and AP DPIP poverty implementation programs were done, and then we moved to SGSY, which is not really a successful. It has become a failure, and then World Bank supported in the states like Kudumbasri. Yesterday, I think you heard about Kudumbasri. Then Kerala, Bihar, and Andhra. And then in 2011, Government of India, based on the learnings from Andhra, Bihar, and Kerala, we started Ajivika, the current National Rural Livelihoods Mission. So this is our journey. The basic framework is very simple. All the women in the rural areas were formed into an SHG group because we believe in this concept: poor, maybe resource poor, and but the ability to, their spirit of poverty, working together for the poverty elimination, they are very good. Only thing is they don't have required capital for their livelihood and the capacity. So we mobilized women in the rural areas, poor women in the rural areas, into SAGs, because SAPAP taught us the women and the poor families, if together, then only they can come out of the poverty. Individually, it may be very difficult to come out of the poverty, but as a institution, they can come out of the poverty. So we formed SHGs. Then these SHGs were federated into village organization at the village level, and then the village organizations were federated into cluster level federation. Then even in Andhra, they have a district level federation. But now we are stopping at the cluster level. These cluster level federations basically work with the other ministries to leverage the schemes. SHGs basically work for their livelihoods. And we after farming the groups savings, and then we infuse them into capital, revolving fund, community investment fund, and then we link with them with the banks. For your, I think we are till date 6 lakh crores was infused into the SHGs. You might aware 10 crore women in the rural areas were mobilized into SHGs. And every year around 1.5 lakh crores was the credit support by the banks. So this is the power of self-help groups. And after, once the groups were formed, then the bank linkage was happened. And then the third step is to work on the livelihoods. Then the fourth step is to work on health and nutrition, then other higher end activities. Say for example, in Andhra, we started with SHG formation, then financial inclusion, then they started various livelihood activities: agriculture, dairy, NTFP, non-farm enterprises. Then they started nutrition come daycare centers. Because they started working on health and nutrition. We believe that poverty should be eliminated when in the womb itself. The 1,000 days, nutrition is very important to mentally growth. And then once you are mentally formed well, then you can work on the you can use your IQ to overcome the poverty. So we does that. And then insurance, social security insurance, and everything was
Sorry to
we does.
interrupt.
Yeah.
Is it, sorry to interrupt. Is it in second slides, right?
Yes, second slide is.
Actually, the
Yes, NRLM
oh,
framework.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
NRLM, it's not visible, sir. It's visible SHG movement in India.
Oh, okay. 1 second. I think I should.
Yeah, now it is visible, sir.
Now, which slide is NRLM framework?
Yes, sir. Framework, sir. Now it is.
Okay, it is in the framework now. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So, just okay. So when you come to the livelihood part, we believe 3 levels of interventions are required, because we are working with the most vulnerable people, small and marginal farmers, with the socially they are marginalized SCs, STs, and the vulnerable groups. So we feel any progress will happen slowly, step by step. So the first step at the first level, we create awareness, and we create knowledge with the SHG members. So first we ORLM staff, then the community leaders, then to the SHG members. At the level 2, once they have a basic understanding on the livelihoods, the situation, the local resources, natural resources, then we will move to thematic interventions. So based on the existing natural resources, the needs of the SHG members, their skill set, based on those things, we will design a livelihood intervention. So we create extension services through the community resource persons, and we also work on the different forums at the SHG level, at the VO level, and at district level, so that they can discuss the ideas, and they can learn from the best practices across the districts and states. And then the third level is value chain interventions, higher order. The second level, we will work on the productivity enhancement. And say for example, if you are working on agriculture, Then we will be working on non-pesticide management, then the soil health, the productivity part. If it is a livestock intervention, we may work on fodder supply, then the feed and the milk productivity enhancement, animal health. And at the third level, we are working on the value chain interventions. So once the production systems were established, we will move to economic mobilization. SAG is a social mobilization, and uh, this third part is economic mobilization, like producer groups, producer enterprises, farmer producer organizations, and they will be working on the entire value chain. So at these three levels, we are working. Last 10 years, in the first years, we actually formed SAGs, and then the federation, then the financial inclusion, then the livelihood part. So within the livelihood part also, we have three stages where we will ground these livelihood activities. So is it visible features of NRLM?
No, sir, it's still in framework.
Oh. Now I think
Now it
every
is
time we have to.
feature.
Yeah. So at NRLM is slightly different from other programs of the government. Generally, when you say the government programs, usually it is supply, because whatever scheme we formulate, that we will spread to the farmers or the beneficiaries. But NRLM, we don't think SAG members are beneficiaries. We say they are participants in the development, and we are not here to formulate any project or any activity, but it is reverse from the bottom. Whatever demand is there, we will serve that in a time bound manner, because poverty, you can't really take your own time designing and all. So you need to be time bound and work on the demand. And we also work with the different organizations, support organizations, because this is very, very critical for when you are talking about livelihoods. So we work with NGOs, we work with private players, and we create a whole ecosystem to ground these livelihoods and make them successful. And we create community structures like producer groups, FPOs, producer enterprises, so that they aggregate the product and deliver to the markets, so that they can realize the better prices. And the most important is social capital. Either it SHG leaders who drive the programs, or the community resource persons who drive the extension system. There are two kinds of social capital. One is leadership of the community institutions, maybe a CLF leader or CLF president or CLF treasurer or subcommittee members of the community cluster level federation, or a FPO board of director. This the community leadership and the community extension services, where the last mile delivery of extension will happen. We create different types of community resource persons to serve this purpose. And as you are all aware, poverty is not one dimension, that economic poverty alone. We have several dimensions of the for the poverty. So we would like to address all the dimensions of the poverty, because even if your health is not addressed, nutrition is not addressed, you are not really coming out of the poverty. So we will be working on addressing the different dimensions of the poverty. Convergence, we always believe a whole of the government approach. We need to work with several government departments. We work with Ministry of Agriculture, we work with Department of Animal Husbandry, Department of Fisheries, and we also work, we believe in the Samaj Sarkar Bajar. So society agencies, and then bilateral agencies, multilateral agencies, and the private players. We have signed MOUs with several agencies like Amazon, Reliance, Flipkart for the e-commerce, and also with the IDH, and many other private players and many civil service society agencies like Pradhan, GIZ, many other civil society agencies who are working with us, because NRLM alone cannot address this poverty, this program, because 1/4 of the India population, we are dealing with 1/4 of the Indian population, because 10 crore SHG members, average family size, if you take 4, it is 40 crore population. So you need a lot of expertise and lot of human resources, lot of resources, financial resources. So we believe strongly in convergence. So the our livelihood, coming to the livelihood approach, we believe in, we focus on 3 things. One,
So slide is not moving.
no, sorry, I have to come again.
Yes,
Now,
yes. Now it is okay, sir.
okay. So we are focusing on small and marginal farmers, basically women producers, and we also these people are, if you look at SH members, where these people are staying, these people are coming from the tribal areas. These people are coming from the, forest fringe areas. These people are coming from the rain-fed areas. About 75% of the SHG members lives in rain-fed areas. You can understand the problem. I know the problems with natural resources, shortage of their poor natural resources. But one thing we are really found interesting is these people has the desire to come out of poverty. They have the strong willpower. They have the commitment to come out of the poverty. I visited around 27 states in India, northeast, south, all the directions of India, and I interacted with thousands of SHG members. None of the SHG member asked me to give a grant, give a financial support. They always said, "Sir, we will work. We have the finances. We have the, we don't want finance. We have our own savings. We have our own bank linkage. But give us knowledge. Tell us, guide us how to do this. Then we will, do it." So our focus is on 3 parts: assets, land, water, and other equipment which is required for taking up of their livelihoods. Skills, this is very, very important. NRLM always believes in the building the capacities. Our core activity is building capacities, and our community resource persons will work on this. And then access to knowledge, information, markets, technology, the resources. This is very, very important. So our focus is on these 3: asset, skill, and accessing to the markets, entitlements, and other things. So our approach is this, and we focus on these 3 aspects of the livelihoods. Now, livelihood intervention focus, is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So basically we are on agroecological practices. We believe in creating multiple livelihood sources, because poor needs 2-3 livelihoods, not one livelihood. You can't really depend on one livelihood and come out of the poverty. So we believe in multiple livelihoods at the household level. So basically, if you look at again the SHG livelihood portfolio, 75% of the SHG members depend on the agriculture, and about 50-60% depends on the livestock, and around 30-40% depends on the forest produce, and around 25-30% depends on the non-farm livelihoods. So we work on agriculture. Basically, in the agriculture part, we promote natural farming, agroecological practices, because these people are SHG members, are come from the rain-fed areas, and they need to reduce the cost of cultivation. We believe in this, avoiding external inputs, and we are also focusing on scientific livestock management and non-timber forest produce. So these are the core livelihoods we work. Uh, yes. So this, I think we already discussed a bit about it, the basket of livelihoods, and our focus is on risk mitigation, increasing the incomes, and reducing the production cost, enhance the productivity, and bring sustainability. Because sustainability is the key. You can't say this season we have bountiful yield, we had a lot of money, and then next season we are lost. We are in the loss, because poverty eradication needs sustained efforts. Over a period of at least 10 years. So sustainability is very, very important. Risk mitigation is very, very important, because these are the vulnerable people and they have a lot of risks: climate risk, financial risk, market risk. The aggregation is not there, so they have a lot of risks. So we need to work on risk mitigation, and our objective is to increase the incomes. So increasing income will happen two ways: one is productivity enhancement, second one is reduce your costs. So these are all the areas where we work. So for this, we identified certain subsectors, 12 subsectors we identified, particularly in the farm sector. With an idea, our idea is to create, each subsector should at least create a million livelihoods, 1 lakh livelihoods, with a decent annual income of 1 lakh. Because you might have heard, Honorable Prime Minister many times, he gave us a mandate to create 3 crore lakpatis. So we need to create an annual income of 1 lakh. So the subsectors, we believe in the clusters, because if you want to aggregate the produce, you want to create an ecosystem which can provide services to the SHG members, poor and marginalized farmers. You need to build a cluster. Until unless you create a cluster, until unless you create the marketable surplus volumes, the market players won't. So we follow cluster approach. We focus on the volumes. We want to create marketable surplus. And in the subsectors, we also adapt value chain interventions from the pre-production to the post-production, until the primary processing, secondary processing, if required, tertiary processing also we will take up. So our investment is on value chains, and we also work on the livelihood institution, because SHGs as an institution, their mandate is mostly to serve the social issues, and then the basic savings, financial linkage. But if you look at the economic part of it, you need to mobilize them into a separate organizations which has a mandate to work on the livelihoods. So for that, we are working on producer groups, producer enterprises, and the farmer producer organizations. So we identified bamboo as one of the important subsector, and fisheries and aquaculture. We say aquatic livelihoods, because we are not only working on the fish, but we are also working on the aquatic plants and other aquatic resources, seaweed, all those aquatic resources. So and I think you are also aware, the productivity of water is 6 times than the land. So we identified aquatic livelihoods as one of the main subsector which can actually serve the livelihood purpose. And small ruminants, cotton, other 12 subsectors we identified, and we are working on that. The second, I know that then value chain development. I had discussed about this. Uh, Beyond the production, once the SAGs are matured, and once the producer collectives were formed, we will be taking up to the value chain intervention, so that
लोग वो भी
yeah,
हमारे मेरे साथ वो के साथ ऐसे करते हैं
they can actually create lakpatis. So coming to this extension part, I just give you the overall picture of the livelihood interventions, and then why we are coming into this community extension system. There are 2-3 reasons for this. One, if you look at the formal extension system in India, we have around 1.2 lakh extension professionals. If you compare it with China, because every time you take anything, we will compare with China, with our neighbor, and giant. So if you look at them, they have 7 million agriculture extensions professionals, but we don't really have at that level. And if as doubling of the farmer income committee report says, in the hill areas you need one extension professional for 400 farmers. In irrigated area, one for 750 farmers, and rainfed areas it is 1 per 1000. But we in India we have one extension professional for 750 farmers. It is very difficult for them to provide extension services. And if you look at the department, they have a lot of schemes to implement rather than providing the capacity building and other extension services. So this is a one challenge. And second challenge for us is we are working with poor people. These extension professionals, they tend to go for the progressive farmers, influenced farmers, because they have a mandate to implement it quickly. So they believe in a different philosophy, that they say progressive farmers and then it goes automatically. But it is in the practice, it is a very challenging. So when this government extension system is not really adequate and not equipped to deal with the poor farmers, we thought we will create a community extension system. So if you look at the community resource persons, who are these community resource persons? Community resource persons, they are not coming out from the other villages and all. They are within the SHGs. They are very active SHG member. When we are dealing with SHG members, they want role models. They want to see their fellow SHG member who is able to establish a model and come out of the poverty. Because if I go and say, they will say, sir, you can do because you have resources. But when a fellow SHG member go to them and share their experiences, the belief is more, and they will believe them, trust them. And the language they speak, is in the same language. Language means not the English, Telugu or Hindi, but the language which they understand, means the sharing of experiences. They say sharing of suffering, sharing of the journey, that actually connect to the each one of them. So idea is this SHG member, active SHG member, who has been implementing successfully whatever the best practice. If it is agriculture, it will be agroecological practices or natural farming. If it is a dairy, it is a scientific management dairy. If it is a honey, then it is beekeeping. So whatever this livelihood is there, their own field, own house first, and successful for at least 2 to 3 years, and come out of poverty. Then only they are eligible for crisis, this community extension worker. And there is a proper process we established to identify these community resource persons, Krisisakis or Madhusakis. They will identify. Then there is a well-laid process to identify them. First, the black project managers, our staff, and the cluster level federation leaders will scout who are all these SHG members who implemented these practices and come out of poverty and successful, and they will identify them. And then there is a written test, field verification. These cluster level federation leaders will go to the field of the SHG member who is, want to be a community resource person. They will verify the field and they will interview and they will look for their, skills, articulation skills, writing skills, communication skills, and the adaptability skills, because it needs a lot of adaptability also. If you are going out of your home and dealing with an SHG VO in a group, they need to be very humble, able to convince SHG member, fellow SHG member. And there are a lot of challenges because these are all lives in a poor natural resource areas, and then they live with the a lot of struggles. They don't have the capacity, they don't have the financial resources, they don't have the natural resources. Then there is a lot of suffering. So these people should able to convince them, guide them, extend the necessary hand holding support. So a lot of scrutiny is required. And this entire system will be managed by the cluster level federations, which are the community institutions. They assign the task, they monitor their work, they pay the honoring. So we have different types of community resource persons for different livelihoods. Like for example, natural farming, Krishi Sakis we have, and they themselves adopt natural farming in their own field, and they will adapt, come out of the poverty. Pasu Sakis, they are working on dairy management or poultry, and then they become the Pasu Sakis. Madhu Sakis basically honey and beekeeping. Matsya Sakis are basically the fishery community resource persons. Like this, we have non-farm also, enterprise promotion, and then we have bank Sakis, digital banking correspondents. The bank Saki works with the bank to establish a credit linkage with SHG members. They are like bank staff only. They will prepare all the documents, they will write all the documents, they know how to convince the bank manager, they know all the banking procedures. So the 1.5 lakh crore credit linkage is happening because of these bank Sakis. So like they go through that process and come out of the poverty. So they are really the champions, they are really the heroes. So they can really convince others and they can guide them. So I'm just taking an example of Krishi Sakis, how they do what they work. So they adopt agroecological practices in their own field, and they will assist we have a black mission management unit at the block level. They will support the black mission management unit and the cluster level federations. They will establish, in the first phase of work, they will establish NPM shops, non-pesticide management shops, which supplies botanical inputs, organic inputs. Then the customizing centers with a small equipment, and then they will also participate in the SHG meetings, village organization and cluster level meeting, federation meetings. Attend the meeting, explain them, understand the SHG members, their needs, their requirements, and then provide necessary awareness creation, if required provide training, and then go to the grounding of activities. And we also have generally in a month 15 days they will deployed in the field, and they will work for the 15 days with the SHG members and the provide necessary hand holding support. After 15 days they will attend the debriefing. The first day briefing session will be there, so the CLF leaders, black mission management unit will brief them what their task they are supposed to do in the 15 days. Once the 15 days is over, they will come back and the debriefing will done. What happened, what is the experience, what is the next plans, and then they establish nutri gardens, all those things, the whatever task they decide mutually, they will adapt. So capacity building is very, very important, because even though they came out of this poverty, they adapt. We have a strong capacity building architecture. Until unless you have a proper system, you can't really create a vibrant community extension system. So we have a pool of national resource persons. Basically, national resource persons has a huge experience in the livelihood sector, farm livelihood sector, and these are empaneled by National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, which is located in Hyderabad. And these national resource persons in turn will train the state resource persons. State resource persons will in turn train the Krishi Sakis and Pasu Sakis, and these Krishi Saki and Pasu Saki will train the SHG member. So we have a strong capacity building architecture which delivers the designed capacity building building plans and that training modules. If you want to create a vibrant extension system, community extension system, you should have this kind of a capacity building architecture. Once these Krishi Sakis, we identify them, they already adapted, they have a basic understanding in the implementing this program. Then we train them for 56 days through 8 modules. It is at a different phases. We have the 8 modules. So these 8 modules will cover livelihood perspective. So we will train them a week on what are the livelihoods, how you have to ground the livelihood activities. We know how to organize a PRA, participatory rural appraisal, how to identify the natural resources, based on natural resources, what kind of livelihoods we can build. All those livelihood perspectives we will give them in the first module. The second module, we will start with the very simple basic activity like agri-nutri garden, Poshan Vatika. This is very, very important because this is in a way entry point for the Krishi Sakis in the village. So they start with very simple activity which is close to SHG member heart and very simple to adapt. Then we go to the next level, soil health. So we train them on different soil, what is soil, how to do the soil testing, what are the different micronutrients, macronutrients, what kind of organic manures we have to use, how to understand the soil. Those things we will, physical, chemical properties, all of those things in the soil health we will teach them. After that, plant protection, how to do the pest management, disease management, how to identify a pest, how to identify a disease, what kind of measures you need to take, how to prevent the pest and disease infestation. Then the seed systems. We believe in the community managed seed systems, so we train them on what kind of seeds, seed banks, how to manage the seed systems. And then the most important thing is facilitation skills. This is very, very important because if you are dealing with an SHG member, you are basically an extension worker. You need to know how to facilitate the training, how to facilitate the discussion, how to facilitate, involve the SHG members and discuss the various challenges, opportunities. So we will focus on that, and soil moisture conservation works, and the farmer field schools, how to organize farmer field schools, because these as a community resource persons will go to the field and organize the farmer field schools. So once the training is over, they will be deployed in the field, and they will in turn train the Mahila Kisans. Mahila Kisans are basically SHG members, and we have a well-designed capacity building program for the Mahila Kisan. We have structured training modules. and capacity building plans. So what we do, these Mahila Kisan community resource persons will go to the village and do the method demonstrations. For example, if they want to introduce Gana Javamritam or Drava Javamritam, they will demonstrate it, in a SLG meeting or Vivo meeting. Then they will handhold support in preparing those botanical extracts, and they will also do some result demonstrations, because at the season long experiments they will do as part of their farmer field school curriculum. And they also do the frontline demonstration. Recently, Ministry of Agriculture given uh, 10,000 hectares of frontline demonstration, pulses and oil seeds. So they do the frontline demonstrations, new varieties when they release. The government gives us an opportunity to implement these frontline demonstrations. They do that, and they organize farmer field schools and exposure visits, the farmer scientist interactions. Because see, certain areas definitely these community resource persons may not able to handle and they involve KVK scientists and other scientists, and they facilitate the meetings, they facilitate the interactions. So this is all, but I would like to update you a few things before we go to the next part. So these sakis are so successful uh, that now the government of Ministry of Agriculture, in fact, they started uh, recognizing them as a para agriculture extension workers, where MANAGE is the nodal agency. And this 5 days training, after this 56 days of training, we identify certain Krishi Sakis for training and certification. So the 5 days certification training will be done by the KVK scientists, and MANAGE will conduct an exam and they will get the certification. So they will identified as a para agriculture extension worker, and they will be used by the Ministry of Agriculture for various schemes. Like that, we have a health program where Department of Animal Husbandry providing training for 12 days in their designated veterinary training institutions, and then they will provide certifications, and they will recognized as para extension workers. At the highest level, they were, they have the recognition. Recently in Jalgaon also, Honorable Prime Minister had a discussion with them, interaction with them, and he was thoroughly impressed with the, the way they interacted, the way they explained their experience, shared their experiences. So this is, is essential for, if you want to work with poor people in farming livelihoods. And I will tell you, we reached 3.6 crore SAG members, through agroecological practices. And recently we organized a campaign on seed treatment, and these community resource persons were so active. We could able to reach 2.5 crore SAG members in, for the seed treatment. So this is the power of the institutions. This is the power of women, particularly, in transforming the lives, and the way they provide extension system. They are actually transforming the traditional extension system, and heart to heart, discussions. Man ki baat will happen in the villages and the transformation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for detailed explanation regarding the NRLM presentation. So, participants, if you have any questions, you can keep in chat box or you can ask her directly. Sir will be taking questions. So, there are already few questions in chat box. So, they're asking
Yes.
how this CRP They're asking the procedure for
Okay.
joining as CRP.
So basically, as I explained, if you want to become a CRP, you should be a SHG member. Only SHG members are eligible to become community resource person. That is the first criteria, basic criteria. Second criteria is the SHG member has to be successfully implement these practices. Whatever practices are recommended by the day NRLM, they should adopt, and then they should able to the local cluster level federation. They will select through a process of interview and written test.
Thank you, sir. So participants, do you have any questions? So Sushil, do you have any questions? So if you have any questions, you can ask now.
हेलो
Yes, yes.
Hello.
My
Yes.
नमस्ते मयूर सालुंकी बात कर रहा हूँ पुणे से
हाँ।
सर हमने एक फार्मर्स का ग्रुप बनाया है पुणे में ही तो जिनके पास मोस्टली
Okay.
फिग के farm है वो फार्मर क्या है कि अभी समर सीजन में उनके पास पानी नहीं होता तो हमने ये ट्राई किया कि हर फार्मर का एक फार्म पॉन्ड हो और फार्म पॉन्ड के थ्रू वो उसे पानी देंगे और हमारे अभी 3 फार्म पॉन्ड बने हैं इस तरह से लेकिन उसमें हम अभी सोच रहे हैं कि कुछ फिश फार्मिंग भी करें उससे हमें कुछ एडिशनल इनकम हो जाए तो हम गिफ्ट तिलापिया अभी यूज कर रहे हैं फिश फार्मिंग के लिए तो मैं ये जानना चाहता था कि कौन सी वैरायटी बेटर रहेगी और क्या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की या कोई भी स्कीम है जो इस चीज के लिए हमें हेल्प करे थैंक यू
वो तो है PMSSY है, प्रधानमंत्री मत्स्य संपदा योजना। इससे आप you can get the support, but I'm not an expert to explain you which variety is good, but आप PMSSY स्कीम से आपको मदद मिलता है।
थैंक यू सर
Thank you, sir. So do anyone have questions? So still we have 5 more minutes, so you can ask if you have any questions. So if you have don't have any questions, also I have shared sir details in chat box also, so you can contact him or you can mail him anytime. So he'll be answering your questions. So since it is already also time, so before concluding the session, I would like to thank Jayaram sir for accepting our invitation and accepted to give a talk on community sustainable extension system. So this presentation, actually this detailed presentation will be surely helpful for all the participants. And also I would like to thank my director Sarunandra sir and also all the participants for your active participation. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. In fact, this is our story of our SHG members. This is really a great opportunity for us also to share with all of you, and I'm really thankful to MANAGE. And MANAGE
Thank
is
you.
our partner in this process also, community extension system. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, sir. Thank you.